An absolutely tragic day in the world of Magic the Gathering. The beloved site Cardsphere is closing its doors, leaving a lot of people sad. On the other hand, a ton of people are pissed about what's going on with the new Lord of the Rings secret lair. You have to see it to believe it. And on top of that, we're also going to talk about that crazy Gen Con theft of $300,000 worth of cards.
Magic. History. I'm an old wizard. The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a jam-packed installment of Mega Magic news. We've got tragedy, we've got rage, and a story of theft and redemption. So let's start out with the insanity surrounding the Lord of the Rings secret lair. If you don't remember this secret lair, it is one of the worst secret lairs ever made. Wizards was like, yo, what if we just took a couple of commons and uncommons from the Lord of the Rings set and then put rare symbols on them? And we're like, hey, it's the Bakshi art. Don't you want to buy 4 commons and uncommons for us? I genuinely think they were going, you know what? We're going to be printing a ton of Lord of the Rings. We don't want to make too many cards easily accessible. So why don't we just hand off a bunch of junk? And speaking of a bunch of junk, yo, the big hubbub around this was, well, what if you buy it and they made the One Ring the secret bonus card? What if you have a chance of getting a special alternate art One Ring? Those things are worth huge money. If you didn't know, if you get the little collector booster inserts that came with the Lord of the Ring commander decks, if you get a One Ring out of there, it's worth almost $1,000, like American dollars, almost $1,000. But specifically, it has to come from the tiny little collector booster that comes in the Lord of the Ring commander deck. So I guess in one way, Wizards of the Coast has succeeded in making everybody think, yo, anything could be a lottery. I could win big. I could get the One Ring. I wonder what insane, awesome bonus card they're going to put in the Lord of the Rings secret lair. I guess the laughter's giving it away, so I may as well put it up on the screen. Feast your eyes on the bonus card that is causing rage in the streets for multiple reasons. This is, just drink it in. First of all, take a look at this. Who do you think Grima Wormtongue is when you look at the artwork? Straight out. Now, this isn't the main problem with the card, but take a look at that artwork and go, wait a minute. It's not, the king's not Wormtongue. And then you go, oh wait, Wormtongue's the little black guy down in the corner. Guys, when you were grabbing screenshots to make this card, was there not anything better that you could use? So you have straight out the gates, it's showing just how lazy and slapped together it is. But it gets even lazier when you take a look at the stats on the card and you go, wait a minute. I've seen Grima Wormtongue before, right? 1 black and 2. He's like, your opponents can't gain life. Tap him, sack another creature. Target player loses a life. If the sacrificed creature was legendary, amass orcs 2. Okay, well, actually, you know what? I feel like they should capitalize the A on amass. I know they don't really need to, but it would just be more visually satisfying. That has nothing to do, I just noticed that right now, that has nothing to do with other people's complaints about the cards. Look at the stat. It's 2/4. This thing has a power of 2, but that's not correct. Wormtongue has a power of 1, okay? So they already printed him as a 1/4. And now we have a situation where every secret lair is a 2/4. And I saw people running around trying to make this into, hey, calm down. I know you're upset. I know you're angry that this is what you got. And a bunch of people are mad that this is what they got. But think about it this way. You got a misprint. You can take it over to the misprint group. And it's like, oh, don't you understand? Every single copy of this is printed as a 2/4. You're not going to find other 1/4 Grima Wormtongues in there, right? This right here actually shows what's going on with Magic right now. Remember that when we had the Wilds of Eldraine spoiler stream, they literally showed us Sweet Tooth Witch, and they showed it to us as a 1/3. When the card was printed, it comes out as a 3/2. So clearly, Wizards is running so far ahead of things that they go, okay, just this is what the card's going to be printed. And then when they make tweaks and changes, they don't actually go and change the other versions of the cards in different places that they have it. We saw it with Zapandrel in the oil slick stuff. This is emblematic of everything that is wrong with Wizards right now. They're trying to do too many things, grab too much money, and they're not putting in the effort to get it right. So, I mean, you could actually view this as maybe this is Wizard's secret experiment in alchemy. Yo, we're bringing alchemy to physical Magic. If you want the 2/4 Grimtongue, then you got to buy the secret lair. But you have to understand that there was literally nothing worth having in the first 4 cards, right? They were just commons and uncommons. So the bonus is where people look to go, well, is there any kind of value in this? And they told themselves all kind of fanciful tales. And then Wizards picked a 10-cent rare and went, here's what you get. But they didn't even put the effort in to make the card look like the actual character. They just go, here you go, here's the king. It's actually the king, I guess, and that's why he's a 2/4, because, I don't know, maybe the king's like, I'll hold your arm and punch for you, bro. It's so ridiculous to see the level things have reached. And actually, interestingly enough, Wizards doing all of this whole like, we're going to make a million different versions of things, we're going to try and play these games. This is obviously a test to see just how much you can monetize garbage. And I don't know, honestly, if Wizards was forced into making Bakshi stuff to go along with the original stuff, because it feels almost like they're reluctant to do it, right? You've got a garbage secret layer based on it, and when it comes to the next cards that are going to be printed with the whole Bakshi artwork, it doesn't feel like they're really trying to push that out there. They're going, Lord of the Rings is going to be evergreen, and we have this one, but really get this main one that we made. And I feel ultimately confused. But let's see this lead into the Cardsphere story in this way. It goes like this. Wizards of the Coast is making 1 billion different variants of cards. They're trying to sell us 1 million different options, right? You will find 6, 7, 8 different copies of a mythic rare or a regular rare, and sometimes even uncommons get 5 or 6 different treatments. So if you didn't know what Cardsphere was, because that's what we're talking about now, is it closing down? Cardsphere was this site that a ton of people really liked that seemed to have found a nice little middle ground where the idea is, instead of you having to go out and find individual buyers for all of your cards, it's basically like this big card network. Now, I've never used it, so I might describe it a little bit off, but essentially you could like sell your cards into it. So you could go, I have these cards that I don't want, I'm going to send them off. And then they would turn around and go, okay, well, here's the value of these cards. And then you can get that much value out of it, or you could theoretically also get money out of it. So it was like a trading and also marketplace setup, but it was like, I don't want it to sound like your TCG player. Actually, talking about TCG player, I got a TCG player link down in the description. I don't really mention it that often, but you want to support the channel, you can use that link or my Amazon link. But regardless, the idea behind this is it's a smaller organization that was meant to facilitate trading and to another degree selling as well. And it was a way for you to get rid of your cards without having to line up a deal for each individual card. Because I don't know if you guys ever did trading back in the day, but I remember the old school Magic Online trading. Wow, I feel so old. You guys know I used to play with marbles in the dirt and the phone was stuck to the wall, and we had the most basic of trading going on back in the day. It's really interesting because the internet mostly has destroyed trading. Trading isn't really a thing as much anymore because trading is a big hassle, right? You have to know like what you're looking for, what other people want. You've got to come to a deal in between. And then there's always the hassle of sorting out, is this a fair trade? Because nobody wants to feel like they got hosed. And at a certain point, when we started to be able to use our cell phones to look up prices and things like that, that basically entered in as like okay, we have values we can use. This is an intermediary. We can kind of trust these as a set value, and we'll use them to do our trading. And so then you just had to deal with people who wanted to grind you for 50 cents on every trade. And then you just start to go, the more hassle it becomes, the more people just turned into buyers and sellers. So Magic used to have a trade economy, and then it became buyers and sellers. Cardsphere stepped in as a middle ground. Not really full-on trading, but also not full-on buying and selling, right? And so they were doing quite well. So what happened? Why did it collapse? It's not that people weren't using their service, because they were. The problem actually stems from them being unable to run the service anymore with the current condition of Magic the Gathering. And by that, I mean all of these different variants that Wizards of the Coast has printed has led to a situation where the upkeep cost to do all of this has magnified, right? In the old days, you only ever had one printing of a card. You didn't have 15 different printings. And so now what they have to do is they have to manually log all of these different variations, right? So if every mythic has 7 different options and all these special printings and 3 different kinds of foils, then you just go, okay, how do we manage all this? And the answer is you can't. So they literally have gone, okay, as of November 1st, we're shutting it down. So people who have stuff already in the system, they're going to work it out and resolve it, because this isn't some sort of like, what was it? What was that thing that was before my time that turned out to be a huge scam that a bunch of people were pushing and got involved with? It's those shells. Puka Trade, right? There was this Puka Trade thing that apparently, I don't know anything about it, but from what I heard, it might have started out okay and turned into a scam, or it might have been a scam all along. But Cardsphere never was. It was a genuine service that provided value to people, but because it's a small organization and they can't scale it up, as Wizards has ballooned out, and I completely get it. I've been around since the beginning, and I used to keep track of my cards in a more orderly fashion, and now I'm literally just like, all the cards from this set get dumped in this box, all the cards from this set get dumped in this box, because keeping track of anything, it becomes virtually impossible. Wizards of the Coast, it's almost like they've gone out of the way to make things as baffling as the video game industry has, where they almost don't want you to know where you can get things. And the aforementioned special cards only available in the collector sampler packs that are included in Commander decks, they play all these different games to try and add new layers. And then they go, oh, there's list cards. So not only can people like Cardsphere not keep up, but big name graders, BGS, PSA, they screw up too. They'll literally go, check it out, this card's from Cold Snap. And it's like, it's got a Planeswalker symbol down in the bottom, bro. That's not a foil Cold Snap. That's a mystery booster. What are you even doing? Like, Wizards has muddied the water to the point where nobody knows anything about what's going on anymore. And on top of that, what they've done has, this wasn't even in the list of things to talk about, but they've also cratered like the secondary market to the point where normally a set would crash like a week or two after release. We're seeing crashes like pre-release now in some we're in some impossible crazy universe where it's like, yo, how is this crashing in advance? The cards aren't even out yet, but it's a side effect of Wizards. We make a billion different variants, we're moving on to the next thing, the hype train, like the endless products, the endless variations, the fact that they can't even keep straight what it is they're printing, the tokens from Wilds of Eldraine where they're like, oh, check it out, this Commander deck has half the tokens it's not supposed to. Oh, check it out, this token we printed has the art reversed. Like, they are rushing at such an insane pace that they can't keep up. Now, let's end off with the Gen Con story. If you haven't heard already, a couple of geniuses, like these guys are brilliant. They thought to themselves, yo, there's a big palette here full of all these different card games and stuff. It's not 100% clear if it was all Magic cards or whatever else, but for your excitement, pretend like it was a ton of Magic cards, because who knows, maybe it's Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Boo! But anyways, it's a mixed bag. $300,000 worth of cards. These two guys just take off from Gen Con with it. They're just like, pulling the palette out. Now, if you didn't know, you can pull a lot of stuff off with confidence. This actually happened at a school I went to when I was a kid. They had this computer lab that got cleaned out by a dude. He just walked in like he was supposed to be there and said, I'm supposed to take these computers out. And they just let him. Like, if you just put on a little vest or whatever, if you have the tiniest little piece of evidence that you can use to say, I'm this person, then people will just assume you know what you're doing and they'll leave you about your business. And so that's what these guys did. They just basically went, yep, we're supposed to be pulling this pallet along, no problem. And it's like, bro, I don't know if you know, but there are these things called cameras, and you're dragging this basically like something the size of almost a car behind, well, I mean, a mini car, one of those little beep beep cars. But seriously, it's this gigantic pallet. I'll put the image up on the screen so you can know what I'm talking about. Look at the size of this. Look at the size of this. What on earth makes you think that you're going to get away with leaving with all this? You know that belongs to other people who came here and expect to have it, right? Like, I would understand it if it was just some random guy walking by on the street and he's like, hey, free stuff, and ran off with it. But it's like, you guys are, like, these guys, as far as I understand, were also game designers who were there at Gen Con as part of Gen Con. So you're registered attendees of Gen Con. There are cameras everywhere, and you're going to steal something that is literally impossible to hide. And lo and behold, surprise, surprise, they got caught. Who would have thought with a mountain of evidence like your Gen Con attendees, we literally have you in pictures, you have this giant pallet. So the story ends with the stolen goods being recovered and the two geniuses getting arrested. How can you think you're going to get away with stealing $300,000? The only way you can steal money in the card game is by calling yourself Wizards of the Coast and printing flimsy garbage rectangles and charging us insane prices. Yo, who wants to buy a box of 4-packs for $1,000? Yo, why is it all tumbleweeds? That's the only way you can scam in this day and age with the card game. So, to me, that was wild. I was waiting until the story concluded because I was like, they're going to catch these guys. There's no need to do multiple installments. It's just something to add on at the end of a video. So, tonight, I'm going to be doing a live stream over on my other channel, Hatcher. Come and by and hang out unless you're afraid, in which case, go and cower under your mother's bed. Until it's time for the next video, then be strong and brave, boy. Come back out and run over to your computer. Bam! I love the Magic Historian. By the way, down in the comments, say that. To prove that you've watched this video, in all caps, you bellow at me. I love the Magic Historian, because I love to see it. Thanks for coming by. Big shout out to my patrons. I'll see you all for the next video.